Tyson Geick of the NHL Flash here with Sportsnet's Mike Johnson. Mike, thanks a lot for taking the time with us.
Anytime, mate. No better place to be down here in Florida for the draft. So, other than being ridiculously hot outside right now, it's all good.
Scorching hot. I'm sweating out back here.
Shorts at least. I got pants on, so you got me there.
That's not a tactical move on your part.
No, I know, but your calves are nicer than mine. So,
thanks a lot, Mike. So the draft is coming up. It's going to be a wild day. If you could sum up the draft in just one word, what would you say about it?
Oh, wow, that's a very good question. One word, I would probably just say, like fulfillment, dreams fulfilled for these kids, and it's fun to talk about trades and fantasy hockey and big names moving around, but for these kids and for these families and for all the time and energy that they all go through, not just the guys who are getting drafted. It's another step and another milestone, another moment in their journey as a family and support and beyond their family as well. And so for me, it's a fulfillment of another step for all these young guys on their way to becoming professional players, NHL players, adults, grown-up, mature men. And it's nice. It's nice because it's a moment where they can take a step back and be like, think about all that they did, all that they sacrificed, all the people that sacrificed for them, and embrace it for a day before, again, they'll go to development camp and then the grind starts.
Okay, so Mike, another tough question for you. If you could compare this draft in 2015 to any other draft out there, and there's been some good ones, especially over the past 20 years, which one might it be?
That's an impossible question to answer because you don't know until 7 years from now. And it says 2003 because that draft was a monster. And they had all those great players coming out early, late first rounders, Corey Perry, Getzlaff, all deep, second rounders. But you don't know. And that's kind of the beauty of the draft is that you'll never know until 5 years later when these guys are all 23 and there'll be some surprises and there'll be some disappointments and some guys will make it, some guys won't. But 2003 is probably the closest one in our kind of generation of time, but who knows? It may be better. It may be way worse. I mean, we'll have to see how they do in the NHL.
Looking back, maybe in a couple of days, what are we going to be talking about? Is it going to be the trades that are happening on the floor over the course of the first round, or is it going to be the surprising draft picks and who's taken where?
Well, since I'm broadcasting it tomorrow night, I'm hoping it's the trades because McDavid's unbelievable. We know that. It's been so well established, and Jack Eichel is, having played college, I have a respect for a freshman putting up 70 points, doing what Paul Kariya did, winning the Hobey Baker. It is absurd to me that a guy that young could dominate college hockey to that extent. So we know they're great. And beyond that, we don't know what's going to happen with Strome and Hanifin and all those guys. So to me, the story we hope is all the goalies that are going to get dealt, and because they are going to, Cam Talbot, Martin Jones, Robin Leonard, they're all going somewhere in the next couple of days, and then maybe we'll mix in an odd NHLer and maybe a really good one. And hopefully that will be the story because the draft has kind of become trade deadline. Because trade deadline is you see a lot of minor moves, but when you see big name guys go, it's usually at the draft.
So, I mean, moving forward into tomorrow, a lot of people are pegging the Maple Leafs to take a number of different players. Sure. I mean, there's probably 4 guys
Depends
rumored.
Who you talk to. Depends, and who's available because we know 1, 2, obvious. And then Arizona, they're the wild card because they say they want to trade him. So they could take Strome, they could take Hanifin, or they could trade him to someone who wants Strome or Hanifin. And then you get down to Toronto and you're thinking, well, Mark Hunter's making the call. He's the de facto GM, even though they have no GM. They have 25 guys who work in the front office, but they don't have a GM in Toronto. Well, Mitch Marner played for him in London. He knows him better than anyone. Does he go that route? Because I know that Mike Babcock wants a defenseman. Like coaches love defensemen. They want, and if Strome is gone, do you bypass Hanifin? Do you bypass Provorov for an undersized, incredibly talented guy in Mitch Marner? If Strome's available, what do you do with there? So that 3 and 4 will be fascinating to see how that plays out and who takes who and how that speaks to how Toronto's front office will now operate. It'll be fun to watch.
Mike, do you think the success of a player like Tyler Johnson or Patrick Kane will have an effect on who the Leafs take, and maybe being Mitch Marner?
No. I mean, Mitch Marner is going to be good in NHLer. You don't get ranked as high as, you don't put up the points he did if you're not good enough to play in the NHL. So I don't think they need Patrick Kane to say, oh, this guy can play. Or Tyler Johnson, a shorter guy. And Tyler Johnson's a pretty thick guy too. He's short, but he's thick. Mitch Marner is not thick. He's like Patrick Kane. He's thin. He looks like a 16-year-old, 14-year-old. But I think that's where the league's going. It's about skill. It's about speed. It's about intelligence. And he's got all those things. So I don't think they need to see Patrick Kane being great or Tyler Johnson having a breakout playoff to know that that's the kind of guy who can play in the NHL now.
Great. Awesome analysis there from Mike Johnson of Sportsnet. This is the NHL Flash covering the NHL Draft down here in Fort Lauderdale.